What's going on, guys? It's B-Mel's here to roll out the final power rankings, predictions, whatever you want to call it, for the 2016 NFL season. Lots of things have changed since I made a video. I'm talking about Tony Romo going down, Sam Bradford getting traded, and we're going to get into all that. I already made a video about the Sam Bradford trade. I have a lot to take back and a lot of thoughts to put forward on that matter, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Well, let's start off with the 32nd team, the 49ers. Yes, I have them being the worst team in the NFL this year. Blaine Gabbert looked absolutely horrible in the preseason to me. Got the starting job over Colin Kaepernick, probably because Colin Kaepernick decided to make a social, political statement when he's trying to fight for a starting job on the 49ers. That might be a major reason why he lost the job, because when I watched the 49ers preseason games, Blaine Gabbert played awful. I think this defense still has a long ways to go, even though I do like how this team is rebuilding the offensive and defensive lines, which is how they won games and constantly were NFC championship contenders, because they had dominant front sevens and dominant offensive lines, and I think they're getting back to it. But I think they still have a long way to go, and I have no trust in Chip Kelly. I think people have figured him out, and I don't think he has the personnel to pull anything out offensively. Now you go to Cleveland Browns, 3-13. I want to believe that Hugh Jackson can squeeze more than three wins out of this team. I think it could very well happen. I like what I see from RG3, Terrell Pryor, those boys. I just think defensively they still have a long way to go, and offensively I think they still have a lot of talent they need to actually succeed. And you go to the Dolphins at number 30, 3-13. I can't stand Ryan Tannehill. I just have no faith in him whatsoever. I think the defense got a little better. I mean, you add Mario Williams and blah, blah, blah. But you lose Lamar Miller. They're not going to have a very good run game. The offensive line is still a bit of a question to me, even though I do think they got a lot better. I just don't see the Dolphins going anywhere this year. Number 29, the Lions, 4-12. I think I had the Lions as the worst team in the league in my last power rankings. But I do like DeAndre Levy, Darius Slay. Not sure if DeAndre Levy will come back in full force this year, but I think Matthew Stafford's going to have one of his better years, honestly. I've been hearing a lot of good things about him, reading a lot of good things about how he really enjoys this offense, how people think he fits better in this offense. Even with the loss of Calvin Johnson, which is going to be a huge deal, I think that he will have one of his better years even without Calvin. And then you go to number 28, the Eagles. I dropped him down, I think, from 6-10 to 4-12 because they got rid of Sam Bradford. Honestly, I really do think they're going to lose 2 more games because they don't have Sam Bradford. And now I made a video about this Sam Bradford trade, how the Eagles have made a desperate move just like people were saying the Vikings did, because they were having second thoughts about Carson Wentz. Obviously, I was wrong before I made that video, or after I made that video and posted it. They announced that Carson Wentz is the starting quarterback. Now, I have no idea how you go from not even dressing the entire season to starting when he only played one preseason game where he played horrible and got hurt. So I have no idea how he went from, we're going to sit him all year, not even dress him, to now he's the starter. No idea where that came from. I have no faith in the receiving core. He has no weapons around him whatsoever, no running game whatsoever. He has a great defense, in my opinion. But I can't see how this kid can succeed. He's not set up to succeed, and I'm kind of worried about Carson Wentz this year. Now, let's go to the Tennessee Titans. I think I gave the Titans a couple more wins. I liked how Marcus Mariota looked in the preseason. Like I said, as a Texans fan, I'm getting I'm shaking in my boots a little bit looking at these Titans and these Jaguars get younger and talented, and I think they are on the come up. Then you have the Rams, 5-11. They draft Jared Goff first overall, gave up all these picks, and he's not starting. I love Todd Gurley, but I don't have faith in the defense, don't have faith in the receiving core. I just think this team is starting over. They're going to have to, but at least they have a quote-unquote franchise quarterback now, and definitely the guy who is the heir to Adrian Peterson, in my opinion, and Todd Gurley. Now at 25, we got to talk about the Cowboys, 6-10 now. I had them at the beginning, since after the draft, I had them going all the way up to 11-5, even 12-4 would not have surprised me. But as the suspensions happened, including Rolando McClain, what's his name? DeMarcus Lawrence, and who else was it? Randy Gregory, who Is his appeal is still going through. They said he went down to 4 games, but now they're saying his appeal is still in the process. Whatever, but now Tony Romo goes down. Now there's going to be a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. Even though I do like the way Dak Prescott looked in the preseason, people are overrating him. There were a lot of throws he made that should have been picked, a couple touchdowns that he threw that should not have been touchdowns. Even though I do like the way he looked and, sloppy footwork and all, he made plays, and I like that. And I think Tony Romo should be worried about his job. Personally, I don't think Tony Romo should play another down of football. I think when you break 2 vertebrae on 2 separate occasions, it's time to quit. I mean, he's broken 4 bones that in his back or that are connected to his back, including his clavicle. So I think Romo is on his last leg. And I think if Dak Prescott plays well, Tony Romo's time in the NFL may be coming to an end. But as I think that's unlikely because we saw how the Cowboys were last year without Tony Romo. Literally the worst team in the NFL last year without Romo, even when they had Dez. Dez didn't look the same. You could say he was still injured, or you could say that he needs Tony Romo to succeed. But, I mean, this team, they only won 1 game last year without Romo. That makes them the worst team in the NFL without Tony Romo, and I think their defense got worse, and their defense is going to be even worse while Dak Prescott is starting. And even when Romo comes back, I've already seen the divide in the Cowboys fan base. The second Romo throws an interception, they're going to be calling Dak's name, and then vice versa. The second Dak throws an interception while Romo's healthy, they're going to be calling Romo's name. So it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic works. Would it surprise me if the Cowboys won 8 games? Yeah, it would at this point. Let's go to the 24. The Chargers, 6-10. Love Phillip Rivers. Love Keenan Allen. Don't love Melvin Gordon. I do like Danny Woodhead on 3rd down. I think this defense got healthier, so I gave them a couple more games than I did last time. But they're in a tough division. They're in the same division as the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Chiefs, all of which I think are going to be playoff contenders. So I think that's tough. The schedule's not very easy, and I think that's going to hurt them. 23, the Falcons. Hate the Falcons this year. I think the times of just throwing it up to Julio and praying that he catches it and wins you the game is over. This defense is in shambles. Like I said, I did not like the selection of Keanu Neal. All 5 times he was targeted in the preseason, all 5 times the ball was caught and or a big play was made. Keanu Neal, he's great in the run game, but he's not going to help this pass coverage that the Falcons have been having trouble with. I think they have a huge miss in the first round. 22, the Buccaneers. Love the Buccaneers this year. I think Jameis Winston is going to take a big step forward, even though his only weapons seem to be Mike Evans and V-Jax. I don't love Doug Martin. I think Doug Martin is super inconsistent, even though he is an explosive player. He has some goose egg games. And then the defense, I think the defense will be a little bit better, getting into that upper average area, and I think they may even make a push to the playoffs. I don't know. 21, the Saints. I was really low on the Saints at the beginning of the season. I said they were going to get 5 wins, and all 5 wins were going to be because of Drew Brees. But I just love Mark Ingram too much. I think Drew Brees has better weapons this year, better tenured weapons this year. Even though the defense did get a little better, they're still going to be pretty bad. Number 20, the Ravens, 7-9. I can't go lower than 7-9 on the Ravens. I just respect their coaching staff too. I respect their coaching staff too much, even though they have no elite players whatsoever. They've cut Justin Forsett. We'll see how the running backs go. Steve Smith Sr. is your best receiver. After that, Kamar Aiken, maybe. I mean, the defense doesn't have any real stars. Maybe Eric Weddle. But I just respect the coaching staff too much to give them less than 7 wins. Number 19, the Bills. And I was high on the Bills, having them 11-5, but now they have 3 less wins than before, because Carlos Williams showed up pregnant to training camp, 30, 40 pounds overweight. He's cut. He's on the free agent. He's in free agency. A lot of injuries on the defense, including Kyle Williams, one of my favorite defensive tackles in the league, big country. And I do think that Tyrod Taylor and Shady and Sammy Watkins can be not the next big 3, but a big 3 in the NFL. But my thing about them now that Shady doesn't have Carlos Williams as a second punch, I could easily see Shady going down. I hope not, because I have him in fantasy. I could easily see, Sammy Watkins with all his soft tissue injuries going down at some point, and same with Tyrod Taylor. So I think health is a big issue, and I think I've seen a lot of people saying Rex Ryan is probably going to lose his job at some point this year. I could see it happening, guys. I mean, he's a defensive coach, and he's had a terrible defense in Buffalo. So we're going to see how this plays out. Number 18, the Jaguars. I had them 9-7, brought them down a game. Just watching them in the preseason, they still look a little too raw. They have a lot of talent, but they just look unexperienced and too young. And I think it's a year early to say that they're going to have a winning record. But right after them, I have the Colts 9-7. Now, I do have the Texans winning this division because I just think they're the better team. I think they have the better offensive line. I think they have the better front seven. I think they have a better secondary. I think they're going to have a better run game, better pass game, or not a better pass game. No. Especially if Andrew Luck comes back in full force. But I just think Andrew Luck, even though he does have T.Y. and Dante Moncrief and even Philip Dorsett, the defense is going to suck. I think the defense is going to have trouble. I think the offensive line is going to have trouble. I think Frank Gore is going to lack even more production than he did last year. And they're going to no longer be able to ride Frank Gore in the run game. Number 15, the Giants. I think I still have them going 9-7. But I just like the new system for Eli. He has the ability to be more efficient. He has even more targets now with the addition of Sterling Shepard. Not a huge fan of Rashad Jennings in the backfield and the system of running backs that they're going to have going. Don't love that. But I do think the defense improved. I think the personnel improved on paper, but we're going to see how these acquisitions transfer. Broncos still have them going 9-7. Don't love Trevor Siemian. People are thinking, the Broncos are still going to be contenders to win their division. No, the loss of Peyton Manning, even though he played horrible, he was the general of that offense. He got his mediocre running backs, because they are mediocre, in position to run the ball. He had good receivers. I do think Trevor Siemian has the weapons to succeed, but he doesn't have the tenureship of Peyton Manning, or just the raw talent and experience in the system as Brock Osweiler. So I do think they're taking a step back. I do think their defense will take a step back, just because there's no way they can take a step forward. So I'm thinking 9-7, still a winning record, still respectable. At number 13, the Bears. I had the Bears going 10-6. Watch them in the preseason. Kevin White doesn't look like he's progressed at all. And then you talk about Jay Cutler being Jay Cutler. Their defense looks good, but now Pernell McPhee went down. Their best defensive player, in my opinion, one of the better run defenders in the NFL at outside linebacker. I think that hurts. And now we're going to the Vikings. They've acquired Sam Bradford. And I was a little emotional when I made that video when that Sam Bradford trade came out, in the circumstances, I did think that the Eagles were getting a bit of a pass. But you can go back and watch that video. But I do take a lot of what I said back. I don't think the Vikings are going to be a playoff team. I said in the description of that video, I was a little emotional, and I said that the Vikings could go 11-5 with Sam Bradford at quarterback. I don't think so. I do think that the loss of Teddy Bridgewater and the transfer to Sam Bradford is only a one-game difference. I had them going 10-6, have them going 9-7, but now they're missing the playoffs. And then we move on to the Redskins at number 11, going 9-7, just like how I had them. Number 10, the Texans going 10-6, just like how I had them. They look great. They look great in the preseason. They look like they have the chemistry. I think the chemistry was all they were going to be lacking heading into the season. That was the only thing I was worried about. Will Fuller looks a lot better than I expected, guys. I mean, he's showing that he can make those explosive plays. He can make big plays. He did have I think one big drop, maybe two, which was a problem in college. But they look like a well-coached football team, even though in the second game they were missing tackle after tackle. But I'm a Texans fan. I think 10-6 is very reasonable. I mean, a lot of people hate on the Texans, but they don't actually know anything about the personnel in the Texans. Their offensive line is going to be great. Even with the loss of Nick Martin, you're talking about Tony Bergstrom, who was a good reserve interior offensive lineman for the Raiders. Is the reason why we signed him. He's going to play center. I told y'all Xavier Shaw-Philo was not as good as y'all thought. Y'all were saying, he played great in the second half of the season. He was on the bubble of getting cut. But I think he's our worst offensive lineman heading into this year, which is great, even though Dwayne Brown is out for a while, but we do have Derek Newton on the right side, and we have Jeff Allen on the right side, who is an underrated offensive guard in this league. He's an elite interior run blocker, and that's going to help Lamar Miller in the backfield. And I think Brock Osweiler just needs to play decent. I don't think he needs to play great. He's going to have a couple games where he's going to need to play good. He might lose a couple of them, but hey, our defense is going to be great. J.J. Watt's coming back week 1. I'll make a whole video about the Texans, hopefully, in the days to come. Number 9, I've elevated the Bengals back to playoff status. I just looked over the roster again. Their roster is just too good all over the place. I think they're going to, once again, make the playoffs. Not sure how far they're going to go because I don't believe in Marvin Lewis in the playoffs, and I don't think anyone should. But I think they're just too good of a team to miss the playoffs. Then we have the Raiders at 11-5. I'm high on the Raiders. I think Derek Carr is going to solidify himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Probably top 9 or 8. I think he can be in that 7, 8, 9 category. If Amari Cooper progresses, stops dropping footballs, and Michael Crabtree stays the same. The only thing I'm worried about when it comes to this team is the running backs. I have Latavius Murray in fantasy, but a lot of people are saying that he's on a short leash, and so it's going to be interesting. But guys, their offensive line is so underrated right now. I read an article on Pro Football Focus, their analytics site that rates players play by play, game by game, and that now, on paper at least, as of last year, the Raiders grade out almost exactly the same as the Cowboys offensive line in 2015. Think about that. They may end up pushing for the best offensive line in football this coming year. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Cowboys, their line is still young and getting better, so I don't see that happening. But the Raiders' offensive line, I think, is going to end up being the second or third best offensive line in the league. Chiefs at number 7, still going 11-5. Or no, I had them at 12-4, brought them down to 11-5. Jamal Charles is starting out in a system of backs. I just think that's ridiculous because I just think he's still one of the elite running backs in the league. I think he's going to re-solidify himself as the number 1 running back for the Chiefs. I just don't think they're going to go on that, 10-game winning streak once again this year. So whatever. I elevated the Patriots at number 6 to 12-4 from 11-5. I just think I am just going to bow down to Tom Brady at this point and just say he's only going to lose 2. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to lose 2 games, and I think Tom Brady is going to lose 2 games, and I think it's going to be 12-4. Seahawks at number 5, going 12-4. I gave them a game because I watched the Cardinals. We'll get to the Cardinals. And I think the Seahawks can win another game. Even though they're going to have the worst offensive line in football, I still believe in Russell Wilson. He looked dominant in the preseason. Number 4, the Carolina Panthers. Go back, watch my video on Cam Newton. I am questioning that Cam Newton has solidified himself as an elite quarterback. I don't think you should solidify him as an elite quarterback because he only played elite in the second half of one of his 5 seasons in the NFL. He still has a lot to prove. He didn't look great in the preseason when he played. So we're going to see. Their defensive backs are a big weakness on their defense, even though their front 7 is first or second best in the league behind the Broncos. And then you go to the Cardinals, number 3. Carson Palmer looked pedestrian in the preseason. That's the only reason I dropped them down a game. I still think they're an elite team in this league. And then we head on to the top 2 teams who I think are honestly just are going to meet in the Super Bowl. I think it's just going to happen. MVP to me is going to be Aaron Rodgers. That should be your pick. Jordy Nelson comes back. Eddie Lacy is not Fat Albert anymore. I think it's the year of Aaron Rodgers. I think their defense got better. And then you look at the Steelers. The only reason I have the Steelers losing in the Super Bowl is because I don't believe that Le'Veon, Antonio Brown, and Ben Roethlisberger are going to stay healthy during the course of the games when Le'Veon comes back and the postseason. Ben Roethlisberger has had health issues lately. Le'Veon Bell has had health issues lately. Antonio Brown had a little bit of health. He got a concussion in the playoffs. He's going to have a lot of volume thrown his way this year. I think he's going to be the best receiver in the NFL this year in terms of targets, yards, and maybe even touchdowns. But I'm not sure if I believe that they're going to stay healthy all year. And so I think it's going to be Packers-Steelers rematch. Packers win the Super Bowl again. Aaron Rodgers gets to hold that trophy high. I have the awards back in the other video. I don't think the awards have changed. I still think I have Aaron Rodgers as the MVP, Russell Wilson as Rookie of the Year, Khalil Mack as Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Khalil Mack as Defensive Player of the Year, possibly J.J. Watt, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Better be Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not going to go back into that subject, but it better be Ezekiel Elliott. It should be Ezekiel Elliott, and I think it will be. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I had William Jackson III. He's out for the season, I believe. I think I had DeForest Buckner right after him. I'm going to change that. I think it's going to be Jalen Ramsey. I think even though he faces tough receivers in his division, if he plays the number one receiver spot, I think all the other teams that he's going to play, he's going to give those number ones a lot of trouble, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of headaches, and I think he's going to make a lot more plays than he was given credit for in college. I'll put the rest in the description from the last video. I don't think much of that is going to change. But give the video a thumbs up, comment below, tell me what you guys think. I got a lot of good reaction from my Vikings video. You should go check it out, even though my opinion has obviously changed as of late, finding out that Carson Wentz is going to start and yada yada yada. But go ahead and leave a comment down below. I love hearing what you guys have to say. I love talking to you guys. This is the reason why I do make these YouTube videos, so I can start a conversation and talk to you guys about football, because that's what I love to talk about. But go ahead, leave a comment down below, give the video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more, you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.